Hello, I'm Pastor Jeremy Combs, and we're on an expedition with the Exalted in Ezra. We're starting a new chapter this week. We're in chapter 8, and I have a title for today. It's Here We Go Again. The book of Ezra, much like the Bible, kind of repeats itself. Really, life has a way of doing that. You live your life as a young person, and then you get married and have kids, and then it's you look back, and then your kids now are starting to graduate, and they're getting married, and it's almost like you're seeing the same journey repeating itself. Ezra 1 through 6 is different in the fact of it covers 100 years, where the end of the book, Ezra 7 through 10, remember we don't meet Ezra till chapter 7, only covers about a year's total. The first half of the book is broken up this way. Ezra chapter 1, remember, as the decree is given by Cyrus. Ezra 2, the people are numbered and they make the journey. And then Ezra, really 3 through 6, is about their arrival and the problems. Now, the difference between the first and the latter would be the first set of problems were external, opposition from without. Then you get to the next half of the book, Ezra 7, a decree is given. Once more, this time by, remember, there was Darius between, but this is Artaxerxes. Ezra 8 is what we're looking at today. People are numbered and their trip and their journey. And then Ezra 9 and 10, we go back to problems, except this time it's not external, it is internal. And so as we begin our journey, we, number one, see the departure. Verse number 1 of chapter 8, these are now the chief of their fathers. So what they're going to do is what they typically would do in Jewish genealogies. They're going to follow the fathers, the dads. And no doubt there were wives that went with them. There were children that went with them. But they worked through the men. And as leaders of the homes, they would then help to lead Israel. And so this is the genealogy of them that went up from me, from Babylon. Remember, they're in the land of captivity, in the reign of Artaxerxes the king, of the son of Phinehas, Gershom, and of the son of Ithamar, Daniel. Now, a lot of these names are just going to be hard names to pronounce, and we're not going to recognize many of them. Even these names that we're looking at, you may recognize Phinehas, and you may recognize Ithamar. And of course, you recognize Gershom and Daniel, but they're not the Gershoms and Daniels earlier in the Bible. But Phinehas and Ithamar would be descendants of Aaron. And so this is significant. As they return, they have the temple is established, and Ezra wants to go, and he wants to get things really moving and establish the word of God. And so leading the pack here is going to be two from the very line of Aaron that are capable of being the high priest. And then you come to the next name, and of the sons of David, Hutush, or Hatush. And David, we all know that name, right? It's the King David. And we don't know much about Hatush, except he's just mentioned here. But it is a little twinkle of hope. It's a reminder that God's Messiah and his lineage still continues, even as it's gone away to Babylon. And it's interesting, it didn't go back, at least not noted in the first, but we do know that here, whether some were there already from David or not, for sure it's right here. And it's almost as if Ezra is pinpointing this out and saying, hey, listen, the line of the Messiah is still intact, even through everything we've gone through, much just like the word. The Messiah, the lineage of the Messiah, is preserved and protected throughout the scriptures. Okay, now we get into those fun names again. Verse number 3. Of the sons of Shechaniah, of the sons of Parosh, Zechariah, and with them, or reckoned by genealogy of the males, 150. You're going to have 12 different names. Many believe this could be from the 12 tribes, or at least representing the 12 tribes. Okay, verse 4, and of the sons of Pahath Moab, Eliohanai, the son of Zerahiah, and with him 200 males. Of the sons of Shechaniah, the son of Jazahil, and with him 300 males. Of the sons also of Abid, the son of Jonathan, with him 50 males. Of the sons of Elam, Jeshahiah, the son of Athaliah, and with him 70 males. And of the sons of Shephathiah, Zabadiah, the son of Mithiel, and with him 80 males. Aren't you glad you're not reading this today? Of the sons of Joab, there's an easy name, Obadiah, the son of Jehiel, and with him 218 males. And of the son of Shelemith, the son of Joshaphiah, and with him 103 males. And of the son of Bebai, Zechariah, the son of Bebai, with him 28 males. And of the sons of Azgad, Johanan, the son of Jakatan, and with him 110 males. And here we go. And of the last sons of Adonikim, whose names are these, Eliphalet, Jael, and Shemaiah, and with them 80 males. And of the sons also of Bigvai, Uthai, Zabad, and with them 70 males. Now, we stop. You say, I don't recognize those names. Well, again, this would much be like somebody coming and reading other names in our history. Maybe not the definitive names like George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. I think even people that weren't from our country would recognize that. But there's a lot of other men who have accomplished things in and around Thomas Edison. I think of like Daniel Boone, others like that had impact on our nation. But outside of America, you may not recognize them. These are here, and it is a way of not only honoring these men, but again, they have to go back and reestablish the temple. And as they're reestablishing the temple, it is so important that they have a lineage or a genealogy to provide. Now, Warren Wiersbe points out that as you compare these names with Ezra 2, verses 3 through 15, you're going to see that many of Ezra's companions, the names are similar, family names. And that is, many of these families that went in the first, we would maybe say the Exodus out of Babylon back to Israel, were from these same families. And so this pioneer spirit, as Wiersbe calls it, runs through these families. Remember, they're signing up for a 900-mile journey. Now, we know from these numbers, verses 1 through 14, that there's about 1,500 men, okay? And so if you add families and children, as referenced in verse 21, they're little ones, and likely some of them covered and had servants as well with them, we suppose at least there probably was a body around 5,000 people. Well, that's a pretty significant size, although back in Ezra chapter 2, it's 10 times less than what went out the first time. And so they're here, and they're getting ready to start on their journey. All right, verse number 15, we see there's a delay. And it says in verse 15, and I gathered them together to the river that runneth to Ahava, and there abode we in tents 3 days. You say, well, why didn't more people want to go? Well, Babylon was established, and it was the epicenter of the world. You talk about comfort, you talk about convenience. They're going to have to go live in tents. These trips are taking 4 to 5 months. And then when they get there, they're not going to have established homes because they've been in captivity for over, over 70 to 80 years. And therefore, they're going to have to live in tents, and they're going to have to start, we would say, from scratch. And you get a picture of this, and it reminds you, it echoes again the first Exodus when Moses left. They abode in those tents, and they came to the river. Only that time the enemy was coming after them, and God had to part the Red Sea for them. Here, in a way, the enemy is coming, but in a different vein and venue, and God's going to have to work. He's not going to part the rivers, but he's going to turn the souls of men. He's going to stir the souls of men to want to part from what they love and to go and to follow him. Let's see what this says here. And he said, I viewed the people and the priests and found there none sons of Levi. So evidently they go, and it's probably a little bit of a breather. It's a break. Let's get water. Let's, gather food, whatever we need. And as Ezra is making all this inventory, he says, wait a second here. We're going back to get this temple thing going, to get it running. And we didn't bring anybody that was a son of Levi, that was capable of serving as a priest. And then sent I for Eleazar, and for Ariel, and for Shemaiah, and for Elnathan, and for Jarib, and for Elnathan, and for Nathan, and for Zechariah, and for Meshuvalam, chief men also from Joyarim, for Elnathan, and men of understanding. So he summons men, and they're called men of understanding. This would be men that had skill, that had discernment. I know Proverbs, we talk about understanding being seeing the world the way God sees it. He calls these men that are going to go back and they're going to be very discerning and wise. And I sent them with commandment unto Iddu, the chief, at the place Casiphia. Now, we don't know who Iddu is specifically. He must be a prominent leader amongst the Jews. Back again, Casiphia is a city in Babylon. And so they send runners back with these men, and I told them what they should say unto Iddu and to the brethren, the Nethinims, at the place Casiphia, and that they should bring unto us ministers for the house of our God. So they go back and they have to make a plea. Now, why didn't these Levites go with them? We don't know. There's a lot of information we don't know, except for Levites, priests, pastors, ministers are just like you and me. They're people. And evidently, maybe they didn't want to have to go sleep on the ground in a tent. Maybe they didn't want to have to go back and reestablish a new work. It could be that they had, and we think some synagogues and things were birthed during these days, that they were serving there and meeting in homes and ministering, and they thought, why would we leave the comfort and relative ease to didn't have to go on this terrible, treacherous journey and then get there and have to start all the way back over? But these men go with understanding, and they give their plea that Ezra has said, we need Levites, we need people who will come and reestablish the temple and the law. And look at verse 18. And by the good hand of our God upon us, they brought us a man of understanding of the sons of Malai, the son of Levi, the son of Israel, and Sherebiah with his sons and his brethren, 18, and Hashabiah, and with him Jeshariah of the sons of Merari, his brethren, their sons, 20, also of the Nethinims, who David and the princes had appointed for the service for the Levites, 220 Nethinims. All of them were expressed by name. And so they leave, and these men go back. They do inventory. They have a little bit of a special committee, I suppose you could call those group of men, and they come back, and they got some, but not as many as you would have hoped. They got 38 Levites to return, and about 220, these are the Nethinims, temple servants that could then help with the temple and its progress. Well, we've seen what the goal is. It's to get the temple established and do the work of God, and to reestablish God's word and make it preeminent in the lives of people. I know I'm going to get that word one of these days. Preeminent. There we go. And they face opposition. It's not an easy thing to follow God. And I think about folks all the time that sometimes we take it for granted. You just go to work and you testify about God. It's harder than you would think. You think about preachers. I think about missionaries who have to leave. And we have a problem right now in our country and around the world that we're missing men, and in some cases even women of God that can go and can fill some of these voids. That's why Jesus said we need to pray for the Lord of the harvest, that he would send forth laborers. And so I don't know what kind of a life journey you're on today. I don't know what kind of a plan God has for your life, but don't be weary in well doing. And it's better to delay and to stop at the waters of Avia than to press ahead, get there, and recognize we've missed our goal. Sometimes I think, and I'm as guilty as anybody else, we can be in such a hurry to serve God that we just slap things together and we find ourselves chasing and propping up things that are not that important, and we miss out on what is absolutely important. And of course, this in this case would be the Levites and these ministers. And yet, we say all that to say, yet they did find 38 men who would come back and say, we'll take that. There's a need here, and we will sacrifice. We will leave homes and lives and go and serve. And 220 servants as well. And so they're not done. They're camping outside of the river waters, I think it is, of Avia. And they're going to do a little bit more. We're going to see this trip finish up, and we'll finish out chapter 8 next time. Hey, thank you for joining us. See you next time.